Alright guys, Mr. Cubic here. I don't know what this is. Week 1, 2, 3. Week 4 of our quarantine. Hope everything's going well with you. These are the notes for Wednesday, April 8th, 2020, the year of the plague. This is section 11.4. And we are talking about irrational square roots. We are on pages 522 and 523, and we're doing numbers 2 through 26 even. It's funny, this is probably one of my favorite assignments. I gave you 13 problems to do, and again, I have every day's answers posted on the next day. So this is something, hopefully you've done this before and you remember it, and if not, then this is going to be good review. So just keep on keeping on. We weren't supposed to have school on Thursday, Friday, or Monday, so I did not post lessons for those days. So I'm just going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week. Now, Mr. McMurtry just sent something out. Maybe he wants us to do something for Monday. So if that happens, it's going to be a pain in the ass. It'll probably be something on the Pythagorean theorem. So just check your homework assignment board, and I'll have that posted. I'll check Monday morning just in case. All right, guys, so I'm going to go over the notes. I think they're pretty easy. Hopefully you enjoy them. I'll do this so you don't have to stare at my bespectacled, bearded, unshowered, hoodie-wearing mug. Okay, so irrational squares. So the big thing is, if I did root 63 on my calculating machine, okay, I know 64 is a perfect square, which means that 63 is not. So you get 7.3972539, blee, blee, blee. Now, this is an irrational number, okay? So if you notice in the title, irrational, so that means there's no fraction that's equal to root 63, right? I can't write it as a Repetan bar. It's like pi, right? It just goes on forever. Root 63 is an irrational square root, okay? And so when you have that, we don't want to put infinite decimals. We don't want to round, okay? It's just something that's odd. We don't want to round. So what we do here is we simplify the radical. So root 63, I want to simplify. So this is one of my favorite things. Okay, so when I simplify, okay, I'm going to use a new property, okay, and the property that I am going to use here is if I have root A times B, that's equal to root A times root B, okay, so that's the property I'm going to use here, okay. And we'll be going the other way with it later on in chapter 11. But for tonight, that's what we need to do. So I look at root 63. Now, there's two ways I could do it. I could do it the Saxon way, okay? So this would be the Saxon way. They would tell me to make the little factor tree. So that's 7 times 9, right? And that's 3 times 3. So they would say that root 63 is equal to root 7 times 3 squared. I don't know the square root of 7, but I do know the square root of 3 squared. So 3 squared, the root of that, is equal to 3, right? And 7 stays inside. So the answer is 3 root 7. That's the way Saxon did it, okay? Now, I'll tell you, I would do it this way. I know that the first perfect square is 1. They go 1, 2, 4, right? I'm sorry, 1, 4, 9. So I know 1 doesn't go in, or 1 won't, is trivial, right? 2 could go in, but then it would be fractional, right? I'm sorry, 4 could go in, but it'd be fractional. So 9 is the lowest perfect square that goes in there. It's also the highest. So here's how I would do it, right? This is the cubic method, okay? Is I would say that root 63 is equal to root 9 times root 7, which is equal to 3 root 7. Okay? So back in the day, right, and this would be maybe even becoming obsolete as I got to be about your age, if you wanted to know what the square root of 7 was and you didn't have a calculator, in the back of my books they would have like a square root table and have all the square roots from 1 to 1,000, just a tiny little table. It would fit on one page of the book. So if I wanted to know that, instead of having root 63, you would look up root 7, and it would be, whatever that is, 2 point something. And then I do 3 times that, and that would be how you figured it out if you needed a decimal. Okay? So again, I would suggest that you pause these. These are actually, I gave you the evens. These are some odd homework assignments for us to do. So root 98, why don't you give it a whirl? I would pause and give it a whirl right now. Again, I'm going to do it twice. I'm not going to do all these twice, but I was so excited about this, I got out my pen collection. So I have Saxon and I have cubic. Okay? So Saxon would say, right, 98 is 49 times 2, which is 7 times 7 times 2. So that means that I have root 7 squared times 2, which is root 7 squared times root 2, which is 7 root 2. Boom. Okay? Great way to do it. Okay? Very thorough way to do it. I think I would go a little further. So I think about your perfect squares. 1's trivial. 4 doesn't go in evenly. 9 does not go in evenly. Right? 16? 16? Does that work? 16 times 4 is 64. 16 times 6 is 96. So no, it doesn't work. Next one is 25. No deal. Right? 36. 36 times 3 is 108. So no. Oh, wait a minute. 49, right? So I would just say root 98 is equal to root 49 times 2. I would not do this step, but I'm just showing you. So now, by the property I just showed you, that root AB is equal to root A times root B, that means that this is equal to root 49 times root 2, which means that this is equal to 7 root 2. Okay? All right, so last one here. Again, I'm going with my pen collection, so I'm going to do this one using the Saxon way too. I'm going to go to red. I know it's boring, but it is what it is. Okay, so root 75, right? Saxon. 75 is a multiple of 5, so 75 would be 5 times 15, which is 5 times 3. So root 75 is equal to root 5 squared times 3, which is root 5 squared times root 3, which is 5 root 3, right? I think cubic here is a little quicker. Okay, I would say what's the biggest perfect square that goes in 75? Well, I would say that root 75 is equal to root 25 root 3. Again, I kind of skipped a step here, right? Technically, I should say it's root 25 times 3, which is equal to root 25 times root 3. But again, I don't need to show that every time, so my answer is 5 root 3. So that's probably the first half. I hope this is review. If you haven't seen this before, if you don't remember it, again, please email me, send me a text. We can FaceTime. I think I can go live with this. I mean, there's just many things that are pretty cool here, and we can go over it. All right, so we'll get to the second half, and so I got out the blue, right? I just kind of missed the blue, so I went here. I went there. Okay, so here's the first one, 2 root 48. So 48, I just kind of go through the checklist. 1, 4, 9, 16. Okay, 16 goes in there. Okay, so this would be 2 root 16 times 3. Okay, And one thing, you get really good at the ones up to 100 I can do just in my head. It doesn't really take any time. You just do a lot of these. Okay? So when you get here, okay, when you get here, 2 root 16 times 3, okay, that's 2 times root 16 times root 3, which is 2 times 4 times root 3, which is equal to 8 root 3. Now I know some of you guys want to go fast. I can't pull that 3 out of the house, right, because it doesn't have a partner, right? So it used to be that when we had, right, so if you want to leave quarantine, you have to, right, have a mask. I don't know. Whatever we need to do. Think about it in the time of plague. All right, so 8 root 3. One small thing for you guys to know, okay, is just like all fractions must be reduced, okay, all radicals must be simplified. So in other words, if you got 2 root 48 for an answer, right, I would do minus 1 because that's not simplified. You'd have to give me 8 root 3. So in other words, tonight on the homework, your homework is to do this, right? So that's why I'm showing it to you now. But, right, if this is an answer on a test after this, I'm just expecting you to do this without being asked. Okay, so here's number 11. Okay, I hope you guys can see this. It takes a second to zoom in. 5 root 72. Okay, number 11 here. So again, I'm going to go cubic method. So, right, 1, trivial, 4, 9 goes. So let's say I do 9. Okay, I would not do 9, but I'll tell you why in a second. So let's say I get root 9 times root 8. So I get 5 times 3 root 8, which is 15 root 8. And you're like, boom goes the dynamite. But, right, you have to remember what I just wrote. Just like all fractions, right, all radicals must be simplified. So in other words, this is simplified, yes, right, but it's not simplified all the way because 8 still has a perfect square in it. So that would be the same thing as 15 times root 4 times root 2, which would be 15 times 2 root 2. So the answer to number 11 is 30 root 2. Okay? That is the answer to Greenie here. So I'm going to go ahead and circle it. Now, I will explain. I would not have done this because I would have seen, mostly because I've done about 10 billion of these, that this is equal to 5 times root 36 times root 2, which is 5 times 6 times root 2, which is equal to 30 root 2. Okay? So again, even if you didn't see that it was 36, you can still get there. You just need to know that just because you got here doesn't mean you're done. Right? You always have to keep going if you can. Right? So if you can reduce more, you must. So here I chose number 29. Okay? And this is a really good example for us to end on because I am pretty sure that there's maybe 400 goes in there. Okay? But let's say I didn't know that. So I know I have a perfect square here of 100. So I would say 7 times root 100 times root 12. Right? So that gives me 7 times 10 times root 12, which is 70 root 12. Now, I haven't done one of these, but I know that there's a perfect square that's still in root 12. And that would be 4, right? So this would be 70 times root 4 times root 3, which is 70 times 2 root 3, right? Which is 140 root 3. So I can't even begin to tell you, right, how cool I think this is. So 7 root 1200 is equal to 140 root 3. I mean, look at this. So here, watch, right? So turn this dealio on, right? 1200, right? Square root is 34.64, right? Times 7 is 242.48. Right? Well, now, right, the square root of 3, I got to clear that out. The square root of 3, right, times 140, right, 242.48. Literally, those two things are the exact same. I mean, we just proved it. I mean, it shouldn't be surprising. But I just think it's amazing that I could just make it simple like that. All right, and again, I'll just do it one last time. I think I'll switch back to purple just so you guys can see. I could have done this in less steps if you get good at this. Okay, so I know that 400 is a perfect square. It's actually the biggest one I asked you to memorize, right? So I have 7 times root 400 times root 3, which is 7 times 20 root 3, which is 140 root 3. So, all right, you guys, lots of ways to do something. Maybe you remember this from last year, and you can just skip the whole video if that's something that you would like. Happy Easter. Enjoy the 5-day weekend. And I will be talking to Check on Monday just in case. I need to see what Mr. McMurtry's saying on that. Otherwise, I will see you on Tuesday. Happy Easter. Enjoy your family. Give everyone a hug. Hug. You can hug your family. You can pick your friends, and you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your friend's nose.